Hey, what is going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Welcome to the AV Experience. We're on episode 90. And so tonight we'll be answering your questions, or actually, I think I'll be answering your questions. Ryan just got back from ISE, which is a big trade show convention, probably bigger than CES over in Barcelona, Spain. And so he's spending time with family. Also, he's making some updates to his theater. So they had some installs they were doing today. And then Jonathan is having some technical issues. And I told him, dude, if you need to take the time off tonight, don't worry about it. But he may or may not be joining us. So it might just be me, but we're just going to hang out. Honestly, I'm probably going to keep this to an hour tonight. Typically, we just kind of go until we're tired. And sometimes that's 2 hours, sometimes it's 3 hours. But tonight, I'm in the middle of doing a pretty killer home theater tour. So I've been editing it for 3 days. I did 2 days of filming, filmed pretty much most of the day. I guess that would have been last Wednesday. And then I had to go back on Thursday because I forgot I had a business meeting that night. And so I had to rush home, got to my meeting, had a 3-hour Zoom, and then went back to his house the next day. It's about an hour and a half drive from me. So it was semi-local. And the gentleman has a killer, it's a Wisdom Audio, Storm Audio. He's got MadVR, big, massive screen, 4-way masking. So that thing is super slick. It can do any size, any aspect ratio for home theater. Man, what else? Just a super, super cool room, about 500 and I think I wasn't going to mention it, but he mentioned in the Youthman crew Facebook group, he said it was about $580,000 for the room. But it's literally a room inside of a room. And he's got 2 300-pound doors leading into the theater room. The whole green glue, double drywall, alternating studs and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be an awesome home theater. I've still got a little bit of editing to do tonight. I'm about 80% done. So I'll finish editing tonight. Tomorrow morning, Storm Audio is going to send me a couple of photographs to kind of as B-roll of some of their products that they mentioned during the video, because they flew in Joe Walters from Wisdom Audio. So he can, and I love Joe, man. He's awesome. I've had some great conversations with him. I've flown out to the Wisdom Audio, their headquarters. I guess it was last year in 2023, and had an awesome time there during their dealer training. Got to tour their whole factory. So I've got a video on the channel on that. So that was super cool. So got to connect again with Joe, and then Gary Blouse from Storm Audio. He flew out. And so Joe did the calibration and Gary was there just to kind of hang out and see this cool home theater. And they're both, of course, sponsors of the video. So it was just super fun. We even had the integrator there. So he's in the video talking about what they did from an integrator standpoint, and just a really, really fun tours. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. It's about an hour long, so it's pretty lengthy, but we cover like as much as we can in it. He's even got a, not really a secret door, but there's basically a kind of like a hidden door in the back of the room. You open that up and you can walk behind to where the projector is and get access to that. Super easy. And I'm like, dang, man. So cool, man. So anyway, I'm excited, as you can tell. So I'll get that video uploaded tomorrow by noon. So look for that video to drop. Still plugging away with Mwave. We've got some amazing things in store. Was just on a call not too long ago with another brand that's looking to bring their products at Mwave. So I typically just don't announce things until they're confirmed. They've sent in a deposit. So hopefully, yes, John, I am by myself tonight. We're going to keep it to about an hour. So if you got questions, drop them in the chat. And literally, this can be anything. It could be questions, since tonight's a little bit different. It could be questions for me personally. It could be questions about YouTube. It could be questions about home theater. I'll do the best I can. I know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. So some of them I just may say, honestly, I don't know the answer to that. And maybe we'll table it till next week or whatever. But we're going to have some fun nonetheless, hanging out. But we've got Mwave, like I said, coming up June the 21st through the 23rd. We are super pumped. This is year 3. This came out of just a desire from me personally as a home theater enthusiast. I've been to several shows, but they're all 2-channel, and there really isn't anything just specifically for us, the home theater enthusiast. And so we wanted to create something, Ryan and I, that would offer just something that's really missing in the industry. So not only do we provide true full Dolby Atmos home theater experiences. Last year we had 4. We had one from SVS. We had a room from Per Listen. We had one from Martin Logan. We had one from, who am I missing? There's one more. Oh, JTR. And so we had 4 full Dolby Atmos systems. We did side-by-side projector comparisons. I just talked to Brian. So Brian Meath and FOMO are heading up this is their, I guess this will be their 2nd year. So they head up our TV comparison room. And so you get to see all the latest TVs side by side. So you can take a look at the OLED versus LED, micro LED, and all that fun stuff. But this year they're trying to get the bigger TVs. That's been a huge topic on my channel. Brian just posted a video today. I linked to it in our in the community tab on YouTube. I saw several other people make videos on that very subject. You know, are these larger format TVs going to be replacing home theater projectors? And so it was cool watching that. But so that's kind of in the mix. But then Brian also said, hey, they're really working this year. They want to put a project, because I told him, I said, man, it'd be cool to put a projector and a nice big TV next to each other so that you guys that are coming to Mwave can really just see, what does that look like? What are the differences? Let's turn all the lights off, turn all the lights on. See how much difference and immersive experience you get on a 150-inch versus maybe a 100-inch, TV, and just what does that look like? So I think that would be cool. And he said they're already looking at doing that, but they're also wanting to do a gaming setup in there on some of the larger TVs. So we've got lots of stuff that are planned for Mwave. So man, I would love for you guys to join us. Midwest AV Experience, you can get all the details there. Anyway, so I'm pumped about that. As you can tell, man, I'm excited. Let me say hi to some folks, man. Who we got in the house? So Bader, very cool. Good to see you. He's got lots of questions right off the bat. So I've starred those. Finster, good to see you. SRW 1000. Let's see. Schmott, good to see you. JR, Zach, K-Man, Howard. Happy Sunday in the States. Oh, yeah, man. So you are from Australia or Asia, or are you just saying hi to those folks? So super cool there. We got some folks from Lansing, Michigan. Clay is in the house. Good to see you, Frank and Edward and Sandman. Lots of folks. Cool. Great question there. So I'm skimming through these and I'll star them and then we'll come back in a few moments. Cool. Got that one. I'll tell you what, let's just do it live tonight. Haven't done that. So we're just going to jump right into it. That's cool. So Batter says, hi, everyone. Just want to say thank you, Youthman, for the valuable information on home theater and audio. I've been watching all the videos and podcasts since the pandemic, and man, I have learned a lot. I was on the dark side of audio industry before your channel, but thanks to you and thanks to everyone in the home theater community and all the guys on YouTube, bless you. All love from Kuwait City. Dude, that is super, super encouraging to me as a content creator and as a home theater enthusiast. I'm grateful that my channel has brought some joy and just encouragement to you during, honestly, the pandemic was just a dark time for all of us, but I know we all go through difficult times, and it's really encouraging to know that the home theater community has been a big part of, kind of bringing you to some hope. And so I love that, man. Appreciate the encouraging words. And he's got a question for Jonathan. Unfortunately, he's not here. I'm really interested on the JBL CBT 70J. I'm wondering how much wattage do I need for a medium to a large room to hit reference SPL and the best amplifier to go with it. So I know Jonathan, oh, he just popped in just in time. Got a question for the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jonathan Von England. He's back.
This has been a nightmare. I don't know what happened. Nothing was working. I even went to the laptop. Nothing was working. But I
He was
finally
having issues with his lap or his webcam.
You want to ask me a technical question? I can't even get my darn webcam to work. So I got the wrong guy.
That's hilarious, man. So here's your question, Jonathan. So he's interested in the CBT 70J. He's wondering how much wattage, medium size to large size room to hit reference, and maybe a recommended amplifier.
Sure.
And
they don't take very much. They're 92.5. Oh, there's more to the question.
Yeah.
92.5 dB is what I was going to say. So I'll finish that thought. Go ahead.
Okay. He says, he says, okay, well, let's hit that and then we'll go to the next part of that. How about that? Go ahead.
So they're 92.5 dB sensitive with 1 watt, and they manage up to 2,000 watts. So they can handle quite a bit of power. They're from the Pro Audio series, of course. So they're meant to be in large theaters or, showcases, arenas, that kind of stuff. Actually, that's where I first heard them, was in a AMC Prime Theater. So I think they're actually said to be like running RMS wattage at like 500 watts. So your 2000 is like a peak, but like 500 continuous, way more than you'd ever need in most any home theater I've ever seen. How do you aim them? So they have a J slope. You can kind of see that in the background. Let's see if can we focus that in a little bit? If I turn that camera.
Like that?
Okay. So do you see how there's kind of a slope on there? The top is flat and then it draws down to the bottom in the kind of a J format. So the drivers are shaded. Actually, the top 4 drivers and the bottom, I think 8 drivers are shaded. It might give or take that. It's kind of hard for me to measure. I'm trying to tell. It's not like documented clearly, but it's some sort of shading that's happening at the top of the bottom. That's how the CBT works. So the way to face them is you actually have them higher than your seats, and the shaded drivers are attenuated by the crossover network. Because they're lower on the drive and because they're curved, you get less SPL coming out of the bottom of the speaker than the top. And so you have that, basically the J part of the curve is closer to your seats, and the seats don't get blasted. Most of the sound is coming out of the top of the speaker and the flat part, and that's the part that you would aim at like your furthest position so that your nearest surround speakers aren't getting overpowered with sound. Is that the second part here?
No, other part is, and how do you aim them? Okay, I think you did that. How do you aim them into the center or to the main listening position when putting them on the ceiling sideways?
Yeah, they're not a perfect speaker for the ceiling. The benefit is that they have a very broad dispersion horizontally. So when you have them in the position I have, they have 150 degree dispersion, which means they're kind of like this. They cover a big wide area, but their vertical dispersion when you have them like this is only like 27 degrees or something. So that means this way in the room, like side to side, they don't have a huge degree of dispersion. So I have them pretty close where like the part that curves in is sort of kind of on my left and right armrest, if you will, on the front seat. And I have them on French cleats, so I could slide them around, all of them, and try to determine the best position that didn't, the best optimal position for the vertical dispersion that's narrow was pretty close in, pretty tight to the center. So that means that when I'm sitting out here, which is outside the main listening position, I'm well beyond the 27 degrees of sound coming from the ceiling. So you're not going to get a whole lot of like ceiling content when you're out here on the left and far side right. Now, if you raise the ceiling height up, your angles are going to have more coverage. In the vertical, which becomes, this width mode and the way that they're used. They work great, bottom line, in my room. And if you had ceiling tires, taller ceilings, they'd even work better.
Cool, man. Overall, great speakers. I've heard them many times in Jonathan's room. Absolutely fantastic setup. So great question here. Smock says, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently when building your home theater? I actually made a video on my channel. It's been a while, but I think it's called My Home Theater Has Issues. If you search for that on YouTube, say Youthman, My Home Theater Has Issues, it'll pull up that video. But I literally go over everything that I don't like about my room. I didn't have the luxury of building a room. We bought the home. It had a media room, 13-foot wide, 19-foot deep, 10-foot ceilings. So no closets, has a double sliding glass door on the right, had a long elongated window up at the top left, and a door that in the far back right. So lots of things in my rooms I would do differently. Number one, I'd want it a little bit bigger. 13 by 19 isn't super huge, especially when my front cabinet is 4 feet deep. So the actual square footage on the floor in front of the cabinet is like 13 by 15. So that's not a lot of space to work with, especially when you're trying to do 2 rows of seating. So I would want it deeper. How big, I'm not real sure. Probably like at least like 15 by 25, I think would be pretty awesome. I don't think I would go 3 rows of seating because I barely utilize 6 now. I man, there's not a lot I would change. I love having an acoustic transparent screen. I love the JTR speakers. I wouldn't change that. I definitely would start with acoustics first instead of waiting 2 or 3 years down the road and adding them later on. I was really missing out there. I definitely would want to have a rack, an audio rack, a dedicated rack. Just makes things so much easier to be able to get to, swap out components, especially in my setup. Man, that would be really, I mean, yes, I did kind of make it easy to where I can slide the bottom cabinet out, climb in there. But as I was sharing with some guys that came over last time, I'm getting too old for that, man. I'm having to crawl through there and like I'm dodging wires and stuff. So I don't know, Jonathan, what about you? Do anything different if you move to another home or build a new theater?
Yeah, I would really like to go for like taller ceilings. I mean, if it was green pasture, I'd want 12 or 14-foot ceilings.
Okay.
And I'd also like the rows to be like true tiers, not just like a
Mhm.
wood riser, but like
Mhm.
true tiers. And I probably would want a third row really because I think it's kind of fun when you have like families over from church or, my daughter she wants to have a bunch of kids over for the, her
Yeah.
birthday party coming up. So yeah, I mean especially this time in life, we could definitely
Yeah.
use more seats even than just the 6. And I can put 2 people in each seats because these are extra large seats.
Yeah.
But some people don't, if it's not somebody you know that well, you don't want to sit 2 per seat. So
Yeah. So are you cool at Mwave if you and I kind of share a seat?
I'll let you have your own. I'll sit over here on this computer desk.
Yeah. See, my kids are a lot older, so I mean, we're almost empty nesters, man.
Mhm.
So we're at a different stage in our lives. We don't have a lot of people coming in and out. So
My daughter was asking for 16 girls to come over for her 15th birthday, and Megan and I
heck
are like,
yeah, dude.
We have to
That'd
narrow
be
that down a little bit."
that'd be awesome. That'd be a big party. She'll never forget it, man. Those times that you do those things for your kids, man, those are memories that they will always cherish.
Sure.
I'm
I
sure.
did have to put 3 in each seat to make that work.
Exactly. Set them on the floor, buy some bean bags at Walmart.
Yeah.
Terry says, "Are you going to review the new SVS speakers?" I'd like to. I really do. I think Jonathan should get a pair. So I guarantee Nick could send you some. So that'd be fun to play with. I'd be curious to hear what they sound like for sure. So definitely, and hopefully we'll have them at Mwave. We're still waiting on confirmation from Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is who they partnered with last year. So, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be coming, but we just don't have a physical commitment yet. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, they'll let us know. Oral 3D making a comeback? Not sure. Honestly, I don't think so.
Where's that even coming from? Like, is there a movie that
There
just
was
came out with Aura 3D?
no, they recently announced something. I got a kind of a press release about it. Oro 3D press release. Let me see if there's anything. Yeah, I think it's here in January 2024. If this will load. Yeah, it says new Oro and well, let me share my screen real quick. Present. Boop. Boop. There we go. New Oro and premium audio celebrate the release of multiple flagship hardware devices that support Oro 3D immersive audio format. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I just read something about it that they were. I don't know. I didn't really read it, as you can tell. Let me know in the comments what I'm missing. What am I missing? But I know they. Oh, here we go. Right here. That's what it is. It's called Scalable Oro CX. So Oro will demonstrate scalable next generation audio codec Oro CX at CES 2024. They call it the first truly scalable next generation audio codec. It's designed for streaming apparently, but application and broadcast has many advantages over next generation audio codecs. So, but yeah, I don't, yeah, just my thought. I don't know if they're gonna make a comeback. It's kind of hard to make a comeback when you didn't really get to the fight. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. I think that might be Death Row's stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm grateful they're trying, and I'm all for it. But until they start making content that really is even over in the States, I mean, they just don't. I don't know. That was the biggest thing, just getting content for it. There's
So last time we looked that up, they had more subtitles than I thought they did, but they were mostly not tremendously mainstream. Have you?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it for a while. Let's take a look. Content.
Death Row Records.
50 Shades Darker, Freed.
Mm.
That's American Sniper. I'm just looking for names that I actually recognize on the list here.
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049. Despicable Me 3, Elysium, Ender's Game. So there's some now. There's more than there used to be. You still got your screen share up?
No, I don't. Yeah, you can share.
But the thing is that these aren't like these are reworks for the most part, right? These aren't brand new titles that are coming out exclusively with Oro 3D. Sure. And I gotta agree with Michael. I think that ship has sort of sailed.
Yeah.
Dolby Atmos won.
They should have been doing this like what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
You know. So
I mean, I'll just share the screen real quick and we can kind of look at it. But tell me if you can see that.
Yep.
So like Jurassic World, there's a lot of stuff on here I don't recognize.
Yeah.
Maze Runner, we know.
I think like a long time ago there was Pixel. I'm like, okay.
Pacific Rim. Yeah, I mean most of these titles, I gotta be honest, I haven't heard of these. The majority of them I haven't heard of.
So Power says none of those actually listed have them on US discs.
Really? Asia and World, I see that title over here. Is that what this is?
Maybe.
Interesting. Okay, so if we switch it to US, well, World would be US, right? I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of World. Yeah, I'm not there. I think they're going to be relegated to an also ran status, basically, right?
Yeah, and I'm with you, Pyro. You know, DTSX. What was the other one? IMAX Enhanced. I mean, we just never really saw much come out of it. So, who knows? But yeah, I don't see it making a comeback because again, I don't think they. It says the license was regionally locked. So, yeah, politics of the format war. Sure, definitely could be that. So, but yeah, they definitely got to come out with some stuff that people can have access to, especially over in the States and the sun. Horizon Home Theater, good to see you, Don. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Michael, are you going to the Florida Audio Expo? Yes, I should be there. It's probably only going to be one day. Usually I try to pick one day. Oftentimes I go on Sundays, but a friend of mine can only go on that Friday. So more than likely I'll be over there on the Friday. So if you guys are in Florida, I'll put this up here real quick. Love to have you guys over there, whether you can come and hang out and say hi to me or not. I'd still love for you to go to the show. It's mainly a 2-channel show, February 16th through the 18th over in Tampa, Florida. All their information on the website, floridaaudioexpo.com. But yeah, great folks over there, man. Just a lot of high-end stuff. So yeah, Don, let me know if you're going to be there. We're hitting these as quick as we can. Michael, if you're able to buy a new house, I already did. Oh, how big? I already mentioned that. So probably about 15, at least 15 by 25. 10 to 12 foot ceilings. BJ, I recently upgraded my Focal 300 in-walls to Perlisten R series based on your experience. Should I notice a big improvement? Bought them blindly and they get installed this Tuesday. I haven't heard the R series. Well, I guess I have at one trade show. It was in a 2-channel setup. I like Perlisten. I've only heard, Focal at some of these 2-channel shows. So I don't have a lot of experience with Focal. So I haven't heard the 300 series. But like I said, I definitely like Perlisten. So, man, here's the reality. You're going to have both of them. You own the Focal 300s. You just bought the Perlisten Rs. Once you get them, hook them up, listen to them. If you don't like the Perlisten, sell them. If you like them, sell your Focals, move into another room. But really, you're going to have to just make a decision on what sound you really, really prefer. I do know that Perlisten typically measure very well. They put a lot of engineering into their products, and they send them out to third parties. They publish their a lot of their measurements on their website, so they're very out front. Like, hey, here's how they measure. So they're definitely not scared of that. And I think Aaron from Aaron's Audio Corner, he's measured quite of them. I mean, Dale the Hater, Focals are expensive, ASF. It depends on what tier. I mean, they definitely have some very affordable, budget-friendly ones. We had some of those at Mwave last year. But of course, they've got the Utopias, which are a couple $100,000. So yeah, they can get on up there. Perlisten aren't cheap though. Some of their speakers are what, 9,000? I don't know if it's 9,000 each or 9,000 a pair. But even that, I mean, even if it's 9,000 a pair, that's still not pocket change for most of us. Nicholas says Focal are bright and forward. I've heard that from people. But you got MW saying Focal Sopra number 2s all day over the Perlisten. So again, you really need to check them out for yourself and see what you like. And since you bought them, hey man, good luck. Let us know next week or the following week. Like,
you tell us
what you think. Right. Yeah. Is SVS coming with their new releases? So the only thing I know of is what they've already announced. So those are over on their channel, on their Facebook page. We mentioned them on, was it a podcast? It was a podcast. We talked about those. So they do have some new speakers. And I may have even, there's either a community tab that I mentioned them, or I don't think I ever did a video on it. I think it was just a community tab, and over on my Facebook page, on my personal Michael Stevens Youthman, and also on the Youthman Crew Facebook group, I mentioned it there. But as far as new releases, we don't know. I think they alluded last year that they were working on some new stuff. Of course, that could be just this, could be some new subwoofers, but we don't have any real concrete information. Erosion, is it okay to have the side surrounds closer to the ceiling in an Atmos system? Good question. So depending on how you look at it, 7.1 or 5.1.2, not really ear level, nor directly up above. I'm trying to read your question. Typically, I'll just share this, and I'll let Jonathan kind of read through it and see if I'm addressing the right question. Typically, the biggest thing with like Atmos is you want to have separation from your top speakers to your bed layer speakers. If you don't, they just kind of smear together and they blend together, and you don't have this bubble effect. So if they're too close together, you're just not going to get that separation. A 7.1 would just be 7 speakers on the bottom. And then if you had Atmos, that'd be 5 on the bottom, 2 on the top. But again, if those 2 on the top are pretty close to the bottom, you pretty much have a 7.1 system, you know. Would you say that's kind of fair, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think you're accurate in your response.
Okay. Page Troop, any comment on wireless sub kits and any recommendation? I haven't used them personally. Only thing I've heard from guys, and maybe Jonathan, you've had some experiences with latency.
Right.
And maybe you have to just add some delay there somehow.
I didn't buy it for the latency purposes, but I did do some research, and I think SVS kind of has the one that people recommend the most. And it does add latency. It's supposed to be down. It's been a year since I looked at this, but I'm thinking it's in the 567 millisecond latency, which is not that much if you're doing like subwoofer distances with your receiver. But if you're trying to do tactile transducers, which is what my purpose of buying it was for, so I wouldn't have to run wires to the middle row, that's a lot, because you actually want your transducers to fire before, at least with like butt kickers or piston type things, before the subwoofers. So adding delay to them is the wrong direction. But from my research, there was a half dozen different companies that did it in SVS's new model. Now, SVS had an old model that's like 10 years old, and they had a new model that came out a couple years ago. Their new model, I think, is supposed to be the one that's got low latency or lower latency. You're going to have the same sort of problems you have with any wireless thing. If you got like competing frequencies, you know, from your Wi-Fi, your house Wi-Fi, or your little Internet of Things devices. You can have signal dropouts, or you can have things where they go to sleep after a certain amount of time and take a second to wake up. Those kind of things abound with it, from what I was reading online in reviews. I've never used one myself as far as for subwoofer purposes.
Yeah. I saw something in here. Good to see you, Ike. Ike's in the house. There's something else I was going to hit real quick. Oh, going back to Florida Audio Expo, Siphonics Audio is up in Canada, and he's actually coming down to the show. So, dude, I'm super pumped for you. I know you've been looking forward to this, and so definitely come say hi to him if you see him at the show. Like I said, I'll be there probably Friday. Let me know in the chat when you're coming in, and I'll shoot you up or hit you up on Facebook. I'll get you my contact information. Maybe we can at least meet up. And but yeah, super excited for you, brother. All right, let's go back here. Got that one. JR says, Youthman, would you do a small prayer for my 5-year-old nephew who was just diagnosed with a cyst in his brain? Wow. And doctors are clueless how that might affect him neurologically. JR, I'd love to do that, to be honest with you. One thing that my pastor taught me in Alabama was we're real good about saying, yeah, dude, I'll pray for you. And the reality is we just get busy. So I'm not going to promise that. What I'd love to do, honestly, I just say a quick prayer right here, if that's cool with you guys. God, I thank you for JR. Thank you for his family. I thank you for his 5-year-old nephew. Lord, you know what's going on in his life. You know his body, and he's been diagnosed with a cyst on his brain. So I just pray that you'd be with the doctors, give them wisdom, help them to figure out what's going on, and help them to remove that. And we just pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Cool, man. Dude, let me know how that goes. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
My heart goes out to you and your family. I know that's always just uncertain times. We've got one of my patrons that is having major brain surgery on the 6th. And so I put those things down on my calendar. I truly care about you guys. It's more than speakers. It's more than a hobby for me. I mean, relationships really, really matter to me, and you and your families matter to me. So hang in there, brother. But seriously, like, let me know. I'd love to hit me an email. Just keep me informed, man. But I'd love to continue to pray for your nephew. Graham Oliver, looking forward to your review of Morance Cinema 30. Yeah, I wish. I've reached out to Morance, and dude, they have literally just gone dead silent, man. I just don't. They had some changing of the guards, and when the whole Massimo buyout, I don't hear from them much anymore. So I was reviewing Denon stuff and Rant stuff, but so that may or may not come. I can get it. Actually, now I thought about it, I can get stuff from Audio Advice. So I could get them to send me one sometime in the future and review it. Nicholas, Michael made me spend $20,000 on JTR. So I ain't making jack, dude. I get blamed. Here's what I think is the deal, guys. I think y'all use me as your scapegoat so you don't get in trouble. Michael, man, he told me to buy it. He said it was a good deal. It was a Youthman deal. I had to. Then you get in trouble. Dale the Hater, any opinion on Monolith amplifiers? I love Monolith. Their amplifiers are solid. They are designed by ATI, and ATI has been making amplifiers for a long time. I've got the 11X. That thing has literally not let me down once. All the channels work. There's no hum. Just rock solid, man. 200 watts to the front 3, and then 100 watts to my surrounds and my Atmos. So have you used those, Jonathan? Monolith?
Yeah, well, some of the locals have. I've never owned them myself, but I fully agree. They're ATI in the back end, and that's a good company. It's been around a long time. Like they're good products.
He says enablers. That's hilarious, man. Hey, man, you are welcome, JR. And we got other folks, man. See, drops on. He'll be praying. Awesome, man. Claude, good to see you, Claude. I was on the phone with him earlier. Claude's been great. He's coming to Mwave, been to Mwave. And we're going out to visit Claude. What is it, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't even know when it is. Oh, it's the last week of this month. And I'm sorry, last week of, yeah, we're in February. It's the last week of this month. Super cool. He's opened up his home. Me and Ryan and our families are going out there to do some snowboarding. Heck yeah. Some people think football is a matter of life and death. You're right. Not this guy. I know nothing. Speaking of that, before we go on, I will be gone next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. My daughter is having a cheer competition, so they're going to nationals and world competing. They just took first place in states this past weekend. Super proud of her. So I won't be here on the show. Ryan asked if we could do maybe Saturday, or you guys possibly. So it may be on Saturday. I'll let you know and I'll schedule it. I won't be there. But Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. So that's why I wanted to mention that. What's a good headset earphones for Samsung TV? Honestly, I've never tried to connect headphones to a TV.
They just use Bluetooth, I'm
I
assuming.
would think so. So, I mean, again, dude, I mean, there's a gazillion. I mean, some people love Sony. I just got the edifiers. I did a review on those. They have Bluetooth. I like my Phaeton Legacy 900s. Those are great headphones. Man, I mean, that's like saying, hey, what's a good set of speakers to go with a Denon receiver?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of depends on what you enjoy. Honestly, that's gonna be hard to pick. You got any headphones you recommend?
I don't even have any Bluetooth headphones except for my iPods.
Do you travel any, like on planes?
Not very much. Maybe once a year or something.
Might not be worth it. I love having, man, ever since I got noise canceling headphones, I love it. I can edit on a plane. I can just chill with some music or watching YouTube, or not YouTube really, but like Netflix, because you can download the movies before. Jay Boogie, Jonathan, how many subs do you have in your room, and how is having them stacked working out?
So no change in the quantity of subs except for these little tactile subs that I'm playing with. I have 8 18s, and I mixed feelings about the stacks. Like they have I talked about this in a previous podcast, so I won't belabor the point, but they have a wave that I think people have talked about in the past, and I agree with that sentiment. It's kind of like a stronger feeling of energy that comes over you. It's more directional. It's more like singular. But it's there's no tactile stuff behind my chairs, and that's a big difference. And so while the impact of like a bass kick drum might be stronger up there, like in that sense, there's a lot less like just deep tactile shake without the near field. So if I keep them like this, I got to figure out something with the near field stuff. I've been playing with different things. You can see there's a 12-inch Yamo there. There's different subwoofer drivers on the floor. My daughter's been holding things up this week. I got a little 8-inch shallow mount I'm trying to put inside the couch. That's what I was playing with most recently. I'm not willing to give up my tactile. So I gotta figure out some conclusion there. And it might even end up being that I go back but buy more 18s for the mid row, or more 15s for that mid row to kind of fill in that tactile again. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Having them stacked is a different sensation, bottom line. Better or worse, it probably depends on your definition, but it's different.
Are you feeling blue today, Jonathan?
I'm feeling real tired. I didn't get much sleep the last couple of nights, and I've been doing some volunteer stuff with sound at church and just kind of worn out.
Yeah, I told him, I said, dude, we're gonna keep this to an hour. Right on it, man. That's why we're blowing through these. Don't know that one. Cool. All right, back to some more. Question for Jonathan. Did you keep your JVC NZ7, or did you keep your Epson LS12000 for your theater room? Looking forward to Mwave 2020.
I'm a dummy. I still have both.
He can't figure out what he wants to do.
Yeah. I will be selling the JVC. I just had one more video I was always going to try to put together. I never finished it. So ultimately the LS12000 is what I'm going to keep.
Chris says, question for both of you. Would you ever go to a television screen over a projector? What size would it have to be? Man, dude, this has been like the hot topic. I did a video last week on that very issue. You know, will TVs replace projectors? Brian just posted a video very similar to today, or similar to that video today. I'll get it right. And there were several other people that made a similar video. To me, man, I mean, even if TVs, well, we talked about it even last podcast, I think.
Yeah, it was a long one.
Yeah, go watch that one, because there's a lot of content there. But just the short of it, at least right now, I mean, I don't think a TV would satisfy me. I mean, until they get to 150 inch, I'm not really interested. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want 110. I don't want 120. But that's just me. I think TVs have their pros and cons. Same thing with projection. But yeah, man. But like I said, go watch Brian's video. I posted a link to that on the channel. But But yeah, we kind of covered that exhaustively, that last one. So honestly, I'm gonna just hit some other questions if that's cool with you guys. But definitely go back and watch last week's podcast. We had a big discussion on that. Huge shout out Jonathan for helping me out in the AVS forum. Appreciate breaking it down for me. That's awesome, Joker. Jonathan's a good dude sometimes. Nicholas, when you playing that kind of money, why not get JTR and get dynamic range at easy to hit reference levels? Yeah, I love JTR, but they're not for everybody. Jonathan, he likes the JBLs. Ryan is not a big fan of horns. He thinks they're okay, but they're not for everybody. So again, come to Mwave and we'll have some fun there, and you can literally hear them in a full Dolby Atmos setup.
Is Nicholas talking about like the comment with the $9,000 focal per listen stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
So we've talked about this before too. When you get up to a certain level, and I think a lot of these systems have entered that level, it's flavors of good, and they're different flavors, they're different tastes.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're necessarily going worse with one over the other, because they're all going to be reference capable.
Yeah.
They're all going to be like very dynamic, very clean, low distortion, but they have a different sound signature, different type of horn, different type of tweeter, and they sound different. So at that point, it ends up being a subjective preference, and there's nothing wrong with what you like versus what the next guy likes, but we can all still have preferences. I've owned JTR. I have no problem with JTR. I think they're wonderful speakers. I recommend them all the time. They're not maybe my favorite speaker, but I like them a lot. And if somebody told me you could get all JTR in your system, I'd be like, yeah, that's great. That's enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah. Because a JTR squeeze you out of your body for an out of body experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good to see you, Brian. I saw you pop in here earlier. Yeah. See, like Pyro, that's a blank statement. Nobody can answer that. What's a good set of speakers to go with the Denon receivers? The one that you love, and they sound great and hopefully measure well. Careful on the snowboard, Michael. I saw your video. Yeah, I busted hard. There's a video on my channel a long time ago. Look that one up, man. Just say Youthman snowboard, and it'll definitely probably pull up. I have 2 or 3, but one of them didn't end up so well. I ended up in the hospital. Yeah, I know cheerleading, not football. Yeah, for sure.
You got a super chat that popped in there.
Let me see. Hulk Thing. Thank you, sir. Hulk Thing, appreciate the $5 super chat. Hello, would you skimp out on your speaker system to afford D-Box seating? No. I like what D-Box brings. It's definitely not for everybody, but to me, here's the thing. I don't want to skimp out on anything. When you cut corners in certain things, it always leaves you wanting more. Every time that I've cut corners in my theater room to save a buck here or there when I already really wanted something else, every single time I've always ended up selling that down the road, losing money, buying what I originally wanted anyway. What I would recommend, get some quality speakers that fit your budget, because those speakers can literally last you for decades. I mean, decades. As long as you don't abuse them and just go stupid with them. I was running clipsless Scalas for 4 or 5 years, and they were built in 1980. They were 40 years old, and I was still rocking them out, So yeah, I would not skimp out on speakers to add butt kickers or to add anything, D-Box to enhance that. Get a good quality system, build it over time. Don't be scared to buy used, whatever you got to do. But yeah, don't buy cheap speakers just so you can, get some movement. Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have a slightly different perspective than you, because I think that the level of competence on a speaker can be quite a bit cheaper than most people will think. I mean, we're having this conversation. People are bringing up $9,000 pair of speakers and stuff. I think the level of competence from a speaker can be way, way, way cheaper.
Okay, and I agree. I guess where when I see somebody say skimp out, to me that means like not buy what I want, sacrifice, get something lower than what I want, and whatever that budget range is. Even if it's, instead of spending $1,000, you spend $500. And I don't think price always determines a better sound, definitely. So I guess that maybe that's what I'm looking at. When you say skimp out, it's more of let me compromise
Right.
on the speaker system that I want so that I can afford to buy this other thing, D-Box.
Right.
That's my thought there.
Yeah, I think the message that you're portraying is accurate. Like if you're purposely buying something you know you won't be happy with because you want the D-Box more, you're just going to end up replacing that and spending more money in the end game.
Yeah.
But the other side of that coin is you can get into, and I've talked about this before in the show, you can get into like pro audio speakers that are at the $200 to $300 range that are reference capable.
Sure.
Just go into Musician's Friend or Guitar Center or whatever your local audio shop is. Listen to their pro audio stuff. They got 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch monitors for $200 to $300 that'll hit reference and do it clean.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's designed to do in like a big arena, or gymnasium, or whatever else.
Yeah.
If you're strictly budget limited, you want a reference capable theater, you want the D-Box and stuff, you could probably put together. I'll give you my Mackie C200s as an example.
Right.
At the time I bought those were 200 a piece. Now they're 300 a piece because pricing all went up.
Sure.
That's an excellent system. I had so many compliments on that for 6 or 8 years. $200 a speaker, 13 speakers is $2,600.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the conversation we're having here, that's one speaker. I had 13 of those things, and they were killer. I mean, I had people from all over the United States come to our little home theater crawls, like Kansas City home theater crawls.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say, like, this is the best system I've ever heard. And I had $200 speakers.
Yeah.
Now, you go to Best Buy and you buy a $200 speaker, you're probably not in the same realm as pro audio.
No, you'll be
it's going to have a prettier cabinet. It's going to look nicer, but it's not going to have the performance. The pro audio stuff I'm talking about is like junky looking, but really strong performance wise. You know, they don't spend the money on the cabinet, they spend on the components. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that's where my message would come through. You don't, maybe you change things, maybe you hide them behind a speaker cloth and, you know, you make the columns like some of the people do with their home theaters, and you could have whatever speaker you want behind no one even know it. It sounds great. It can be an ugly plastic thing behind the thing, and then you have your D-Box. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You don't have to, there's not a one-way street. You can go a lot of different directions. Or a used market, we've talked about that before too. But as far as like skimping, if you're just talking about like, I'm going to buy something I won't be happy with, don't do that.
Yeah. I agree, man. Gary says, has Dr. Shu confirmed Mwave yet? He has not. Actually, I screenshotted your comment. I'm going to email him when we get done here. Dr. Shu, come on, man. Let's make it happen. Been running their CCB8s for the LCR last few years and love them. Awesome, man. Would love to see more people expose his work. I would too. I'd love for Dr. Shu to do a full Shu system. That just sounds different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Hemu says, Jonathan, have you ever heard the JBL synthesis speaker line? Do they live up to their hefty price tag? Also, have you been to a commercial theater with clip speakers?
So I don't know if I've heard a JBL synthesis speaker line in anyone's house. It doesn't come to mind, so that probably means no. I've been in a lot of rooms, but that's probably something that I haven't heard. Mm-hmm. And with clip speakers at cinemas, sure, not anything that I could recognize, but I've been to a lot of commercial cinemas just like anyone else, and clips is fairly popular at those. It may not be the majority, but they're in there, so sure. Sorry for the generic answer, but I don't have more specifics on that.
Yeah. Eddie says, hope you both are doing well. I am. Jonathan's tired, so we're going to wrap up here in 12 minutes. Epson 12,000, and I got a video to finish editing for you guys for tomorrow. Epson 12,000 or 5050 UB, screens 150, diagonal 16.9. Should JVC NP5 be considered as well? Really wanted the most cinematic, organic look. Don't care much about sharpness. Hopefully you do care about sharpness, but you don't want a blurry image. But those are 3 great projectors, honestly.
Yeah.
On a 150-inch screen.
It's getting pretty big.
Epson's going to be brighter. That's what I run, 150. NP5, if it's similar, man, honestly.
NP5 is going to be very similar to like an NX5 and NX7, like that type of range. It's nothing brighter.
I can tell you right now on a neutral grain screen, technically it's a little under. I think it measures 0.8 Seymour Center Stage XD. A NX7 on a 150-inch diagonal was a little like dark for me. I always wanted more. I just couldn't afford more until several years down the road, and then I upgraded to the NZ8. and it's quite a bit brighter. So I don't know. I mean, part of me leans towards the Epson. It's just going to be a brighter image. If you're not really worried about sharpness, Epson makes a great projector. They really, really do. What would be your thoughts on that, Jonathan? The 12,000?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of boils down to the same things we've talked about in the past, where the Epsons are a little bit brighter image. They're both going to be real, both those Epsons are going to be real poppy and punchy. The laser versus bulb, Epson bulbs are cheap. You can get them for $120, $140. JVC bulbs are not cheap. You can get them for $300 aftermarket or $600 retail. JVC bulbs seem to dim pretty good. So I'll give you an example.
That's true.
One of the local guys bought a Nebraska Furniture Mart NX5 off the showroom floor. It had 2,500 hours on it, original bulb. We measured it in here on the screen. He brought it over to let me borrow it for a month because his room wasn't done. So I got to play with it for quite a while.
Yeah.
It only measured at 400 lumens with 2,500 watts on it, 2,500 hours, I mean. So I said, your bulb is shot. Get a new bulb. So we went and bought a bulb. Switching the bulb out immediately jumped to 1,500 lumens. So we went from 400 to 1,500 at 2,500 hours. Yeah. So the bulbs you'll have to keep tabs on. The guys that really run the JVC and love them say about every 1,000 hours you're going to be replacing a bulb, and the bulbs are expensive. So keep that in mind in your consideration. The Epson's laser, just like the JVC lasers, will degrade over time, but it takes much longer to degrade. 20,000 hours, it's down to 50% brightness.
That's a lot of years.
JVC was at 1/3 brightness, like 33% brightness at 2,500 hours. So it's a very much slower degrade. And once it's degraded, you don't really replace the laser. Like the unit's just throwaway at this point.
You're gonna buy a new one.
5050 is just about as bright as the 12,000. 5050 is gonna have the same bulb thing. You're gonna want to replace it every 1,000 or 2,000 hours. The bulbs are much cheaper though. So yeah.
I think if you can swing the 12,000, get it. I think it'd be good. Stitch says Jonathan walked into a theater with clip speakers and requested a refund before the movie started. No, that's not true. Let's be honest. Most of the time we don't even know what speakers those theaters use. You know, they're behind the screen. You can't even get a peek back there. Don't even know. All right, so I'm going to share this because several of y'all, I saw you in the comments. So I have turned off the ads. Here's the thing. YouTube has given a new feature where you can say, okay, show an ad every X amount of minutes. And I put it to the maximum, which is 30 minutes. We've been on here 52 minutes. So you should have seen one ad. If you saw more than one ad in 52 minutes, then YouTube is lying to me because they're supposed to only play one ad, and that's within 30 minutes. So I just turned the ads off. So, but yeah, I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. Did you see more than one ad in this thing? I'm curious. Now, if it's like back to back, that's probably normal. That's kind of considered one ad, if that makes sense. Because sometimes they will run one. You had 3 ads. Appreciate it, Scott. So they may be lying to me. So I love you guys. I got you back. I just thought, I'm figuring, man. Okay, see, Zach only got 1. So who knows? He saw 0 ads, no ads here. Oh, you got premium. That's cool. I still get paid for premium. That's what's crazy. I haven't seen any ads yet. Okay, 1 ad in about 30 minutes. Okay. So, Dale, you are the hater, man. He said 6. Just kidding. Okay. So really, most of you didn't see. So maybe just a couple of you got kind of a weird thing. Most of it, Dale saw 1. Okay. All right. So anyway, I turned them off. I'll try to hook you guys up. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're going to get, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 or 2,000 maybe views in an hour. I mean, we're not talking much. So it's not like YouTube's paying me big money. What happens is the reason why I turn them on is I forget to turn them on. It'll go 3 or 4 days. And that's when most of you guys view the video. And then it's like, well, might as well not have them on. Charlie says, I want to stack 2 subs in my front corners. Can I daisy chain them together or do I need to run a new LFE wires? Great question, Charlie. I have a dedicated video on how to connect multiple subwoofers. So yes, that is one thing you can do. You can run, if your subwoofer has an in and then also like an RCA out or a XLR in and XLR out. So literally just what you're saying, daisy chain, run the first one into the one, go to the out of that one into the in of the next one. Because all you're doing is sending that signal. Each one of those subwoofers, if they're active, they have their dedicated amp. So that's going to power it. So yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that. So you don't need to run additional wires. Ryan says, any idea when the new cases from Buckeye amps will release? That I don't know. Probably best thing to do, just shoot Dylan an email. He's going to be there. He himself is actually going to be there at Mwave, and he's a platinum sponsor of Mwave this year. So we're super grateful for him and the work that he does for the home theater community and 2-channel community. The Cyber Guy, if you had to pick one processor, AVM 90 from Anthem or the AV10 from Morance, which one would you pick? We've kind of talked about this one. Morance is rock solid. Man, just, but some people like the ARC, you know, so.
Even recently on AVS forum, I still read people talking about, I came over, like I'm in the Morance thread because I have an AV10, and I read people saying they came over and they came over because they had bugs, you know. That
really? So
yeah, it's not all worked out. No, they came over from Arkham or Anthem.
Okay. Anthem
AV, yeah, 90 because of bugs. Yeah. No, the Morance is pretty bug free.
They're just, man, they just work. I mean, I still rock. People are like, when you get the Trinov? I'm like, dude, my AV 7706 is doing a great job in my theater room. I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. You know, could I get something more powerful and better? Sure. But I don't know. It's working good. Eddie, we did that one. Vladimir, is there an alternative to MadVR product? Two things. There is a MadVR PC version. Gives you tone mapping and a couple other features. It's definitely not the same feature set as a MadVR NV Extreme or the what's the other one called? Pro, I think. And then there's Lumagen. So that's really the only two options. Lumagen is going to be, I think, a lot less expensive than MadVR. So at least check them out. But that would be an alternate.
They got a few other options. They got JRiver, which is software based, a competitor to MadVR.
Music. So they do that for tone mapping too?
Yeah, JRiver, JVVR or JVR or something like that. It's JRiver is the name of the software.
I know Jeff uses that for his audio interface. JTR. So I thought it was just audio.
I think there's like a Fury product that will do some sort of tone mapping too, though not to the level of MadVR or Lumagen, I think.
Okay. We're adding an Emotiva A3. So that's one of their amplifiers that I reviewed. It's from the basic series to run the LCR of a Denon on a Denon 3800 be a step up or just a placebo effect. Part of me, here's what I always tell people: how efficient are your speakers? How loud do you run them? Because if you got really efficient speakers, I've added 200 watts per channel and haven't heard massive difference. I mean, it's never been a night and day in my setup, but I've always had Klipsch, I've had JTR, and they're both extremely efficient. We're talking 100 dB with 1 watt. So me adding 200 watts from 100 watts, I'm gaining 3 decibels, and I really don't even need that headroom. I just like having 200 watts a channel, just so that I know that, well, now that I say that, I'm only running 100 watts to each one of my surrounds and my Atmos. And I've never felt like, man, I need more power. I reviewed the A3. It ran my speakers fine. I can't remember what I was powering. I might have been reviewing the Klipsch RF7.3s and the 64.3 with that. It's hard to say. How many speakers are you running with the Denon? If you've got them all maxed out and you've got inefficient speakers and you're cranking them up to reference, it might be running out of gas, and even just eliminating 3 channels may help that out. I don't know. That's kind of there's a lot to unpack there. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it immediately doesn't mean that you'll have better sound if you're running out of juice on your Denon because you got 4 ohm speakers or you got 89 dB sensitive speakers, then maybe. But also keep in mind, if you have medium sensitivity, say 92, 95, 91, like in that range, you're not going to notice, if you do gain matching properly, you will not notice any difference between the Denon's built-in amps and the Emotiva's sound until you get to the part where the Denon runs out of power. So that last 3 dB that Michael's talking about, it's not the whole time. It's like, all right, the Denon runs out of gas at -3 in this hypothetical scenario. Now with the Emotiva, you can take it up to, if it was 200 watts and your Denon was 100 watts, you can take it up 3 dB more. You can take it up to reference.
Yeah. So he said he's running 9 speakers, clips, reference Premiere series, and they're pretty efficient. So
yeah, you're probably not going to notice any difference. Now, here's the thing. People don't understand gain structure and they don't know how to set it up. So a lot of times they'll hook in an amp and the gain structure on the amplifier might be a 32x gain structure. It might be a 29x gain structure, which is more than the receiver. So right out of the gate, without adjusting anything, it's way louder. And they're like, listen, like this is way more dynamic, way more powerful. No, it's not. It's just louder. If you turn the channel levels up on your Denon to be gain matched and actually level match your speakers, it sounds the exact same until you get to that point where you're actually out of juice. And with reference Premiere speakers like that from clips, you might not ever hit that point with the Denons. Besides that, the Bass X or that receiver you're talking about versus the Bass X A3, that A3 is only putting out 140 watts per channel, so it's not that much more than the Denon.
My guess, like I said, if you got really inefficient, like Jonathan said, if you're running 4 ohm speakers, that demands a lot more. The external amplifier, even the basics, will probably handle that better than internal amplification that's sharing across 9 speakers. So, but yeah, I think it's kind of a lateral move. I'd put more money, honestly, in a subwoofer upgrade or something else. I think to me, an amplifier is kind of down the road. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those add it, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of the last things I recommend to add. So, guys, I'm going to do one last question of the night. Because I know, like I said, Jonathan, he's super whooped. I told him, dude, I'll keep it to an hour, and so I'm gonna keep my word on that. We're at 1 hour and 1 minute, so we'll be about 3 minutes over. But like I said, next week we may meet on Saturday because Super Bowl Sunday I will not be here, so it'll be probably just Jonathan and Ryan. And last question of the night, Michael, what are your thoughts on Kaleidoscape? Have a video on that, but I'm going to have a dedicated video on a consumer's experience with Kaleidoscape. They actually sent me one. So I've had it for probably 2 months now. And so I'm going to make a dedicated video on like, what does that look like? Not so much a review of hardware and stuff and how to set it up, but really like, what's it like living with Kaleidoscape is kind of what I'm thinking on that video. I love the interface. I love the fact that you get movies super quick. I like the fact that I can pull it up on my phone. That app is really, really user-friendly. I can search for movies. If you own disc, you can I bought a Blu-ray player. I can slide the disc in there. And I bought plenty of movies for like $4 on Kaleidoscape from their disc to digital program. It's super slick. The user interface is awesome. It just works. I don't have any hiccups with it. I'll cover all that in a video, but the biggest thing is what everybody said. It's just expensive, like really, really expensive. So to me, Kaleidoscape is a luxury item. I know people complain about it, but let's just face it. There's some things in life. I would love a Porsche. I would love a McLaren. I had a friend of mine bring his McLaren over. Dude, I was grinning ear to ear riding that thing. I love it. But I'm not hating on it. I can't afford it, but it seems like with Kaleidoscape, there's a lot of hate just because people want it, but they either don't want to pay that much for it or they can't afford it. And so there's definitely some hate there. But dude, a lot of the high-end home theaters, the one that I just filmed, it's got Kaleidoscape. If you got the money, there's nothing else like it out there. If you got the time, the energy, and you want to rip all your movies, great. Nothing wrong with that. That's a huge cost savings, but that's a huge time investment too. And not everybody wants to do that. People that have, that are well off, they want to just be able to pay for it, make it easy for their friends and family members to use and have instant access to full high resolution, one-to-one downloads basically to a server. So yeah, I like Kaleidoscape, what they stand for. It'd be awesome one day if they do come out with something more affordable, but I hadn't heard anything yet, so we'll see. But anyway, guys, I hope you, so thanks for, even if it was the abbreviated version, that definitely is tonight. We hadn't had an hour show in a long time, but like I said, I wanted to honor Jonathan, and I know Ryan is getting some rest at home with his family. He's been at ISE. Jonathan's had a long week, and so we're going to wrap it up here. Guys, I hope y'all have an amazing week, and we'll catch you in the next live stream.
Night, everybody.